it's been happening as we go. I believe in 1900, the global population of European descendant people was about 30% of the whole global population. Now it's less than 10%.
Yeah,
it's less than 10% now. So why is that? Well, it's because of some of these things. I mean, the birth rate is a serious thing. You could lose like half or more of your population in one generation if you have a low enough birth rate. Because people die and then they're not replaced. So it's like what happened to all these people? They just disappeared, right? No, they died and we didn't have kids to replace them, so they're just gone. And
yeah, we didn't have kids to replace them because we systematically pushed feminism, we pushed career, we pushed maturity or the perception of maturity, we pushed economic issues and reasonings. These are all intentional, very calculated efforts to reduce reproductive rates, to produce chaos within our society, specific to exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, so that's formulated in a lot of these cases to achieve those goals that you said in doctrinal sort of language, so that the church would get on board with it, because that's the main. The church is the main obstacle to all of this thing. I can't remember who said. Maybe it was Stalin said that when they were doing in the Soviet Union, when the Bolsheviks took over everything, that their biggest problem was the Christians, because they wouldn't go along with any. They just had to kill them, send them to the gulag, because they wouldn't go along with any of it.
Yeah.
So you see what I mean? Like that's the biggest problem that they're trying to overcome. And so I think what they're doing, instead of just creating martyrs sort of by just killing us, is they're trying to corrupt the church so that it'll just agree with them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't work to create martyrs. That's like counterintuitive, or it goes against. It doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a trial and error thing. Satan's like tried that other thing a bunch of times and always backfires on him. Yeah. So now he's doing this other thing to try to co-opt through deceit.
Yeah. Fundamentally, it's create a false doctrine that sounds good enough, but it's counterfeit.
Right.
And then really try to re-educate people to embrace it and lead them astray that way.
Yeah,
this is what we're addressing. This is fundamentally what we're talking about.
That's right. Yeah, once you get to that point, it's just you just kind of wind up the key and just let it go.
Yeah.
And then it goes right to where it's supposed to go. And unless we stop it, and in order to stop it, we have to talk about it. And so that's the problem. Like all this, you're not allowed to talk about this stuff. And if you do, you immediately get attacked, canceled, called racist, like you said, or something like that, in order to harm you, so you won't talk about it. So that's be a huge red flag, especially because the world pushes it. Okay, if it was something like degeneracy or something the Lord commands, we would do that too. Yes. We would say you can't do that. You can't.
Right.
That's what should happen in a Christian nation. Right. But that's not what we have now, guys. Like we've been kicked back on our heels, and we are kind of under the thumb of this evil rule or government that is oppressing us and won't allow us to talk about this stuff. Although it is changing, I think, at some point, because people are starting to. It's almost like a magic spell. That's what I would call it, like a sleeping spell or something was cast on everybody, and they're just like, it's a sort of apathy. It's like, well, I could say this, I really do think this, but if I say it, I might get in trouble, so who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a form of weakness and cowardice and laziness. It exploits every one of the worst sort of vices of humanity in our, the sin of Adam and different things like that.
Yeah, it's also a form of self-worship in the sense that you prioritize your own comfort and preservation over the truth and obedience to God. To say, well, I don't really want to say anything. I don't want to be like, I don't want to ruffle feathers or be disruptive at all, so I'll just be quiet because, quote, who cares? God cares.
Right.
God cares.
Yeah, yes, and it's counterintuitive too, because it really isn't preserving what's in your best interest. It's like very sort of short-term thinking.
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to spare myself from any sort of pain, like immediately, but in the future it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like right. You know, like a year from now, the pain that you're trying to spare yourself with is like up here. Whereas if you would have said something back here, or if we would have acted back here, then it would have stopped that from even being possible.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it is. It's just but I think all these things we've been talking about are conspiring together, like the shortened attention span, the sort of this mass-produced culture that gives you what you want immediately. Like Amazon. We were just talking about the other day, my wife and I, how amazing Amazon is. You order something online, and then it gets to your house, like in some cases, the next day or the same day.
Yeah, same day sometimes.
You know, and it's just like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
You know, but could it be that these people, because I think they're doing it on the media scale, and then they have largely unlimited resources because they have access to the U.S. central bank, for one. Like they can just print U.S. dollars, which is used for everything in the world. And so like they have these trillions of dollars that they have access to. Could they be doing it with Amazon too? Because Amazon has got to have some deal with the post office, or with like how are these shipping companies not losing money on what they're? Because I'll order like a $5 bulb or something, and then they'll ship that to me like the same day.
Yeah.
There's no way that they can make the money back on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's something's being underwritten with that, but I think that it's possible that all these things are conspiring together to sort of, cull the herd, make them into this sort of docile animal that will not react or will not be able to react. You know what I'm saying? With the reading and stuff, we talked about that too. It's all. I mean, when you kind of start taking the whole picture. I know I'm probably sound like that conspiracy guy meme where he's like pointing to all the stuff on the wall, but it's like, look at all this stuff that's happening, like, and where is that leading us to? It's leading us to, like, I think, willingly choose to become like cattle that have no idea what's happening to them, or, couldn't do anything about it if they did know what it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So at the end of this sort of kind of conversation with Grok, where I was asking it about, what would it do? What kind of plan would it look like? And it said all these things that made it seem like it would do exactly what's happening right now in the world. And then I asked it, like, to examine what's happening in the world right now and compare it to what your plan is, and tell me, is this seem like it's happening? And at first, sometimes it hedges because it has like training. It has these rails that are kind of liberal, So it'll always hedge and try to say like a more liberal answer. And so it started out by saying that, well, there's no verified document or anything that says this is the plan, And I'm like, well, and I asked it, well, okay, that I understand that, but if this was fifth generation warfare and that they were doing a plan like that, why would they tell us exactly what they're going to do? They wouldn't do that, right? And then so it said, yeah, you're right, that expecting enemies to directly state their motivations in a fifth generation warfare context is unrealistic and potentially fatalistic. So then it immediately agrees that if this is happening, you better do something about it right now. Like, don't wait until they actually say it, because by that time you're already dead. Like it's like the history books or something that are talking about it, if at all, And so it's pattern. Intelligence is pattern recognition, guys. It is pattern recognition, and seeing these patterns and being able to kind of ascertain from the pattern what is going on, or get some sort of clue that can lead you to the truth about. And so we can't just continue to see these patterns over and over and over in like ad nauseum and just listen to their state media tell us that it's just a coincidence, or you're just being paranoid, or you're racist, or whatever they say to shut down because this is how warfare is fought now. It isn't like in the past, like in the Patriot, where you see these armies like marching up against each other, okay? Like the warfare happens before. Even Sun Tzu, if you read Sun Tzu, which is really old, like it would tell you the same thing. You need to win the war before you start fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what they're doing, right? They're using immense resources to make it so we can't win. We have no ability to win. And so, like at some point, it won't matter that we have all these guns, like we talked about, because we won't do it. We won't even know how to use them, or we wouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't do what the founders did. And let's just be totally honest. Every single one of the founders was a traitor. They were traitors. They were violent traitors. You know, they were. But was that good or bad that they were? You know, I think that's something that we need to. Because Jesus was like that too. They killed him because he was a traitor to them. You know, like they tried to frame him as some sort of threat to the Roman Empire. The Jews did, and they didn't like him because he was a threat. He was the king. He was a threat to these evil people, and so we are too, guys. We're a threat to them, and so you know we need to understand that, realize that, and act accordingly, so that we can protect our children and our children's children's children. Because if we don't, then they won't exist. I mean, that's just the long and short of it. And I want them to exist. I want as many of my posterity to be with me in glory and eternity as possible. And so we've come to a real bad place, but we have the opportunity now. I think there still exists the opportunity to turn this sort of thing around. We have to be willing to recognize some of these doctrines of this new religion. Because in the context of the church, that's what we're really focused on right here. I mean, we need to understand what's happening on a bigger scale, but the church is being used or manipulated into helping achieve these goals. Okay, because of this new religion, which purports to be Christianity, and multiculturalism is one of those things. It is not good. It does not help